I just saw the sign and it had Judge Napolitano on it. Right? And here he is. How are you?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning,
to be with
Judge.
you. Ainsley, welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.
A great experience watching.
It was so fun.
So you had a great experience watching Ainsley.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Oh, that's good. Because you might ask Ainsley, how was her experience in Britain?
How was it, Ainsley?
It was so much fun. I
great.
love that kind of thing. And what girl doesn't like a wedding? How many
Yes.
times have y'all watched it since you've come back?
Oh, five.
Since it's been over? I've watched it, I think, 3 times.
We could tell that you loved it.
It was fun.
Yeah, you were great. But of course, we didn't book you for that.
No,
we booked
not
you
at
to
all.
talk a little
Far
bit.
more serious things.
How about what happened yesterday, apparently in the Oval Office, we believe, where you've got the director of the FBI, the deputy attorney general, and they're meeting together with the president. They're talking a little bit about how going forward the IG is going to look into whether or not there was any funny business regarding a spy planted in the campaign. And also it sounds like John Kelly, the chief of staff, is going to broker some sort of release of these confidential documents that the Republicans and their investigators on Capitol Hill have been wanting a very long time.
So we don't know what the president knows, but the president learned something in the past several days, and he obviously has intelligence and law enforcement sources that report to him, which led him to believe that the FBI either had an FBI agent undercover implanted in his campaign or dispatched a person, I think this story is more likely, to communicate with people in the campaign to see if they would spill the beans about any conspiracy to involve receiving something of value from a foreign
What's the deal with the
government.
email? At one point, the guy asked.
Right. So, look, if the FBI, well, I'll take the most extreme
But
case.
Judge, the second part is true. I mean, we have Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, multiple sources. It's true.
This is the way criminal investigations start, with off-the-cuff conversations between either law enforcement or somebody working for law enforcement and a target of the investigation or somebody familiar with the target. If it's an off-the-cuff conversation, not in a private place, you don't need a search warrant for it. The Fourth Amendment protects persons, houses, papers, and effects. Now, you're talking to a privacy advocate. Even I have to recognize that the courts say it doesn't protect every conversation. So if an FBI agent got his way into the boardroom at Trump Tower for a top-secret meeting of the campaign, they'd need a search warrant for that. In order to get the search warrant, they'd have to present evidence of criminality to a federal judge. But if they dispatch someone, this person we're calling the professor, to talk in relatively public places about campaign issues, and we know to whom he talked. We've interviewed the people to whom he talked. Sam Clovis, Carter Page, Papadopoulos, I don't think we've ever interviewed. And they have an open conversation with him. He takes it back to law enforcement. That's the way criminal investigations often begin. Then they amass what they have. If it reaches the level of probable cause, meaning more likely than not, we're going to find more evidence of crimes, then they go to a federal judge and get a warrant. That is a hypothetical scenario, Brian, because we don't know exactly what happened.
We don't. We even know the conversations.
Well,
we even know how they took off and where they took place.
We don't know who dispatched them and why, and this is the president's angst. Was the professor dispatched in order to entrap people? Was the professor dispatched in order to frustrate and stumble the Trump campaign? Or was the professor dispatched because law enforcement had a legitimate reason to believe that there was legitimate evidence of crimes going on? We don't know the answer.
DOJ is saying they will give the classified information, those materials, to Congress. Do you believe that will happen? And
No.
secondly, do they have to tell Mueller what's going on, DOJ?
Okay. Let me try and unravel that. I don't believe DOJ will give everything, and I'll tell you why. Because under the law, the DOJ has the right to keep from everyone information that's presented to a grand jury or information that would expose a source when they're still in the midst of a criminal investigation. As ugly as this sounds, Mueller's investigation is a criminal investigation. The subject of that investigation is the President of the United States. They would never tip their hand to the President or anybody about what they have and where they're going until the investigation is over. And they've either written a report about him, charged them with something, or exonerated them.
Right. And we should also point out, Fox News has not confirmed the identity of the source. There are stories floating around in a lot of major stories.
That's why we're not using the name.
So,
That's
Judge,
exactly
from
right.
what
That's
you know,
proven.
from what we just went over, you just described everything. So, from what you know about the law and investigations, does anything unnerve you about the process?
Yes, it does unnerve
So, tell me
me.
what specifically?
if the FBI, and we have these texts from Strzok and his friend, so we know the attitude that some of them had about Donald Trump, use the power of the government's law enforcement facilities to interfere with or frustrate the Trump campaign, that would be a crime of enormous magnitude, the like of which I don't believe we've ever seen in American history.
What if there was reason? They'll say, well, there was a reason. And
okay, you almost used the right word because you're so good at this, Kilmeade. The phrase is articulable suspicion. Suspicion you can...
Should have used.
Correct, you're right there. It's like when you were teaching me to swing a bat. Right. You're so good. If there was articulable suspicion, that is the linchpin of what the government needs to commence a criminal investigation. So if they're pure, if they're not doing this for political reasons, they dispatch the professor or whoever to have a conversation at a bar with somebody about the campaign. They need articulable suspicion, a suspicion that they can state as to why they think
and they
it's worth pursuing.
Right, and
that's at some point they have to reveal what that articulable suspicion is.
That's right, and that's why the Republicans and their investigators want more details. Judge, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
We learned a lot.
This news breaks like every 10 minutes.
I know.
Something's going to happen. Trust me, before the show is over.
So in your bedroom, you don't have stairs. You have a fireman's pole because every 2 minutes you get a call. You got to run down. It's an emergency. Call the judge.
4:15 this morning, they said, get in here a half an hour earlier.
Well, thank you for doing it. All right, it's 22 minutes now before the top of the hour.
And let's hand it over to Jillian, who has some more headlines for us. Hey, Jillian.
Good morning to you guys. Good Tuesday morning to you. Let's get you caught up on some of the stories we're following. The son of a Boston bombing first responder admits to planning his own terror attack. Alexander Chicolo pleading guilty, plotting to strike a college campus with guns and homemade bombs in the name of ISIS. He was arrested in July 2015 after his father, a police captain, tipped off authorities, and he received guns from someone working with the FBI. He faces up to 20 years in prison. Dramatic body cam footage capturing a gunfight at President Trump's Florida golf club. Well, this all went down after a man walked in with a gun into Trump Doral. He draped an American flag over the front desk, started yelling about the president, and pulled the fire alarm. Police eventually shooting him in the legs. During this bizarre exchange in court, he admitted to setting off the alarm.
Happy push alarm.
You know, sir, everything's being recorded. Your attorney turned the microphone off, though. Probably a wise move.
Nobody was seriously hurt. From the White House to the movies, the Obamas signing a multi-year deal to produce films and series for Netflix. The deal includes scripted and unscripted series, as well as documentaries and features. Former President Barack Obama saying they hope to, quote, promote greater empathy and understanding between peoples and help them share their stories with the entire world. The first content from the Obamas will appear in 2019. A major show of strength by New York's finest. The NYPD coming together to pull an airplane and raise money for pediatric cancer. Just look at this. Law enforcement officers from the U.S. and the U.K. battling to see who could pull a plane